Okay, so hey guys, I'm Bridget Sebastian, and this is my response to the Greg Mitchie little chapter on no called No Zombies Allowed. Starting off from my 4 points, or like the quotes I found that I found interesting. The first one is: some educators would shudder at the thought of using Marcia Brady or Al Bundy as subjects of serious study, but in many ways, the texts of which these characters are a part of are richer and more multi-layered than the textbooks and bachelor readers that clutter the classroom shelves. I really did enjoy this quote. I found it very intriguing, and I found it obvious that, like, Mitchie in this setting or type of classroom finds pop culture to be a much better resource for the educational needs of his students. I think it's interesting how Michi gives the examples of, like, not only the television show but the specific characters too, because like children can they can remember the show that they've watched or heard about, but they can specifically relate to the different types of characters, and like it would help them understand the concepts a little better, especially in a media type classroom. Um, I feel like that was a great example, and I really liked it. But anyways, moving on to the second one. There are times when I envy those teachers who always seem to be so sure of what they're doing the right things with their students. It is rarely that way for me. No matter what I do, I'm hounded by unanswered questions, nagging uncertainties, and lingering doubts. As I've read this quote, I felt bad for the teacher. I never want to feel like so bad that like I can't do well as a teacher. Like, not that necessarily that like that teacher, he wasn't a bad teacher. He seemed like a great one, and all of his students seemed to enjoy his classroom. But like it made me wonder, like as a teacher, like would I feel that like no matter what I did, like I wouldn't be able to help the students to like their fullest, like my fullest ability, I guess. Like I sure hope that I don't feel that way. Like I don't want to be so caught up in thinking of what I do wrong that like I'll lose track of what I'm doing good, I guess. But I don't believe Michi was necessarily losing track of like the good he was as a teacher. I just think he cared so much that he like maybe was so worried about how well he would do. He didn't always remember like how great he was. He was just so worried about making like for his children to love the class. But I think that one of the situations in the text that may like help or not help him, but made him feel this way was that he talks about this little boy and how um he like the little boy referenced like negative things about like women characters, and how Michi thought that the boy situation and like how he referenced those could be um like like in line with his home life, and how like that like could be affecting him. And the teacher, he talks about how he wants to like talk to the boy and sit him down and like understand what it is so many times, but he just keeps putting it off and putting it off. And like, I mean, this might have been one of the times whenever the teacher felt like, even though he was still trying as hard as he could, that like if he didn't help every student like so much, that he just like he didn't feel good about it, even though like I mean he could have said something, but it didn't make him a bad teacher by not. But anyways, my third quote was that he said, "Since I have no textbooks or state guidelines for this class, I'm not bound to present a certain amount of material or even to cover particular areas of content. If a sudden current begins to pull my students in an unexpected direction, the course gives me the flexibility to flow through it." I really think that like a situation like that where you have like no textbooks bound to tell you what you have to do, or no course guides that say you have to learn this within a certain time. I do think that could be beneficial to a classroom. I don't think that not having specific set guidelines for a class could be like very beneficial. That like I feel like that could be a negative aspect, because I mean I think creativity is a great, wonderful thing for a classroom, but also that I believe too much of it could like lead the class astray or in the wrong direction. I like a set of like just like a set goal to go by. I don't know. I think that having like free reign to do whatever you wanted, like it could like lead the subject of the class in the wrong direction. But anyways, also like an example in the text is my fourth quote. I think kind of relates to how having no guidelines whatsoever is not always a good thing. The quote is, "About a third of the students brought in songs in Spanish, watching them proudly play and discuss their music. It was almost as if they felt they were getting away with something that was against the rules. It was as if they had been allowed to sneak homemade food or glasses of different drinks into the lunchroom. Just seeing the work that had gone into getting the songs accurately transcribed was amazing." I found it to be a very interesting situation, but I don't think it was a very positive one. I don't think that the children's behavior of trying to get away with having music that was not acceptable to be rewarded as amazing. I just don't think the amazing creation is a great word for it, because I feel like that's rewarding the children for something they shouldn't have been doing. I do applaud the teacher for allowing that type of creativity in his classroom, but I do think that this is like a prime example of having too much non-structured guidelines for a classroom. I feel like a classroom with at least some type of structure or guidelines set by someone else can help you stay on track, I guess. But anyways, those are my 4 points. And for my 2 instances or relations, one of them that I can relate to in the text is when the 2 young girls came into the classroom singing the song Waterfalls or whatever it was called, and the teacher asked them if they knew what it meant, and they had no clue. And they just thought it was catchy. And then the teacher remembered whenever he was younger and had listened to the song Mary Jane, but he didn't understand it either. I think that's very common in our society, because we sing all these different songs and say these different things just because it sounds cool, it sounds catchy. You don't think about it. But I can relate to it because I went to a very small school as a child. There was only 30 some of us in my grade. We were very, very sheltered. We were the type of kids, we grew up going to church with our teachers. I mean, that's just how it was. I was very small. So we didn't know any curse words, derogatory terms, anything like that. That just was not how we were raised. And then as we grew up and left school and went to higher middle grades, high school, and you hear children cussing like it's nobody's business and saying all these rude things, and you hear music that you've never heard that doesn't have good ideas in it. You just, like, and you start saying them and stuff like, just because everybody else is doing it, but you don't realize that you didn't grow up with it, so you don't realize, like, that it's not a good thing. I guess I can relate to that, because even though we were singing and stuff, as we got older, we realized that it wasn't the best thing, but we still did it anyway, you know. I do think that is very common in our society, that children do or say rude things, even though they may not know the true meaning. But for my second relation, it's an example that not necessarily I can relate to, but I had an experience with a child that could. It was in my elementary school, a really small shelter one. We had this new student, and she, like, her parents, I guess, had not ever filled out her, like, the paperwork you get at the first of the year, telling about their, like, income status, and that can, like, reward the children for your reduced lunch or different, reward programs for the school. But I guess her parents had never filled that out for her, because, like, she could only get, like very, like, certain food. Like, she couldn't just get, like, whatever she wanted, like all the other little kids could. And, like, we would, like, me and a couple of my friends, we always just felt so bad for this little girl. And we would always bring, like, we always packed her lunch, so we would bring extras in our lunchbox for her. And I think this can relate to the little boy Miguel. He didn't have enough money to make copies of his lyrics, so he just wrote them all down. You know, like, I guess, like, I guess that's an experience that I can kind of relate with, because I did know a little girl who, like, they couldn't afford her lunch, so she did what she could to get by. But, like, when I become a teacher, I really do hope to be able to help children in that type of situation, kind of like the teacher did. Well, tried to do, even though the student wouldn't accept it. I do feel like even if the child doesn't accept it, I really still do want to try and help them. And I think every teacher would be like that, honestly. But anyways, those are my points, and I hope y'all enjoyed the video.